Okay, hello. My
Hi.
name is Cecile Bassen, and I'm the North American co-chair of the Committee on Women in Psychoanalysis, and I'm speaking to Sapna Cheryan. Dr. Cheryan is on the faculty of the psychology department at the University of Washington, and she is the principal investigator of the Stereotypes, Identity, and Belonging Lab. She studies the impact of stereotypes on a variety of groups, including women. Sapna, I'm interested in what insights your research can offer us on the concept of the feminine.
Sounds good.
It's up to you.
Okay. Um, so it's kind of broad, but I'm going to take it in one direction, and that is thinking about gender disparities in the world, but in specifically what I study in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math, and even more specifically than that, in computer science, engineering, and physics, which are the fields within STEM that have the highest underrepresentation of women. And one of the things that we've kind of established in my work is that these fields are perceived by many girls and women to be masculine fields, fields where the type of people who are in them are like science fiction, have been coding since they were little kids, are socially awkward, play video games. And these are all things that both men and women will say are more associated with men than they are with women. They will call them masculine. And so the way that I kind of think about feminine is the things that are stereotypically in our society associated more with women than men. Those things can be sometimes relational types of things like caretaking or being, being inclusive, hearing other people's voices, maybe not being as focused on ego-related goals, and being more other focused. And then there's of course a whole bunch of other things that go along with femininity too, in the traditional sense, like appearance-related things and personality characteristics. But in these fields, in the fields like computer science, engineering, and physics, those things are fairly devalued compared to the more masculine things. So, people who are assertive and risk-taking and who promote themselves, those are the types of people who are brilliant, and brilliant kind of connoting things like being very independent and willing to take risks. Those are the kinds of things that people think will create good scientists, for example, or good computer scientists, good engineers. And those are also things that are not associated with women. And so the way I see it is that either women have to do those things, which often they will try, they will try or they will do already. They'll be assertive, they'll take risks. And the problem there is that when women do that, they end up sometimes getting backlash. They end up encountering social and economic sanctions for not doing the feminine things and doing the masculine things instead. So how do we kind of solve this issue? And I think that we need to kind of balance the cultures more so they don't inherently value masculine over feminine. I think we need to bring some of those feminine values back into fields like computer science, engineering, and physics because they are important to our society. And we also need to make sure that feminine isn't always just something that women can do or women do, that men can also take part in caretaking and relational things, because if they can do that, then they can free up the women to do the types of things that they're currently doing in these fields. So it's one take on the feminine.
Okay, so you're saying that the stereotype of women as caretaking, nurturing, relational puts them in a no-win situation in many fields, and specifically fields where traditionally masculine traits are valued. So women aren't valued, right. And that then they're devalued if they're seen as or they're criticized if they're seen as taking an inappropriate role, being too masculine. But I think, I'm aware of your studies which show that these having a certain field or workplace identified as masculine or having a lot of masculine characteristics also discourages women from even thinking about the field.
Yeah, that's right. So more women than men will kind of push away the field or say they're not interested in it when the field is depicted in a masculine way. And the way that we've done that in my work is one of the ways we've done it is simply by changing what the classroom looks like. And so if the classroom has things like Star Wars and Star Trek posters and video games and science fiction books, more women than men, and also girls than boys, we've done it among high school students, will say that they're not interested in a classroom like that or taking a class like an introductory computer science class that looks like that. But if you change the classroom to make it what I would argue more gender neutral, things like plants and art and nature posters, then you can actually increase women's interest in taking those introductory computer science classes. So that's right, the masculine not only creates problems for women who are already in these fields, but it can prevent women from ever considering entering them in the first place.
Well, when I read one of your papers, I was interested in this concept of ambient belonging. That was not a phrase I was familiar with. That, and what I hear you saying is that if workplaces and fields made room for both gender characteristics and were less stereotyped, that both genders would feel more comfortable, and there'd be more of a feeling of belonging.
That's right. Yeah. So we came up with that term, ambient belonging, to kind of capture this idea that you can feel a sense of belonging based on what the environment is like. Sometimes the physical environment, sometimes more than that. But these fields right now, if you survey the men and women in these fields and you ask them how much they feel like they belong in these fields, or you survey people who are not in the fields and you ask them how much they think they should be in those fields, you will see a gender gap. And there are many ways to create a sense of belonging. And one of them is to change the physical environment or change other aspects of the culture, like the practices in that culture, the way that people interact, showcasing role models. These are all things that can increase women's sense of belonging in these fields.
Great. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. It's very brief, and I know that there's a lot more you could say about your research. But thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I'm happy to have participated. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.